Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving deep into the story of one of history's greatest mysteries. We're talking about a world of incredible engineering and fascinating artifacts, a world that was lost to time for thousands of years. We are heading to the Indus Valley. Okay, so picture the neat, grid-like streets of a modern city, say New York. Now, imagine a civilization doing that exact same thing but 4,500 years ago. That's the Indus Valley for you. The big question is, how on earth did they create cities so perfectly planned, so far ahead of their time? To get a handle on this, we gotta know when we're talking about. This is the Bronze Age, right between 2500 and 1500 BCE. So for a full 1,000 years, while the Great Pyramids were going up in Egypt, the Indus Valley civilization was absolutely thriving over in the Indian subcontinent. And get this, this wasn't just a few towns here and there. Archaeologists have found something like 2,800 different sites. That makes the Indus Valley the largest civilization of the ancient world. It was massive, it was organized, and it was unbelievably sophisticated. So what was it actually like to walk the streets of one of their cities, like Harappa or Mohenjo-daro? Come on, let's take a little virtual tour and check out the engineering marvels that shaped their daily lives. One of the most iconic structures you'd see is the Great Bath at Mohenjo-daro. Just imagine this huge public pool, built perfectly with baked bricks and sealed with natural tar to make it completely watertight. It probably wasn't for swimming laps, though. Most likely it was a sacred spot for religious ceremonies, a real hub of community life. And this incredible planning extended to the most important thing of all, food. The Harappans built these enormous granaries. I mean, these weren't just barns. They were basically civic insurance policies against a famine. This food security was the bedrock of their entire society. And to show you how smart they were, they built them right next to the river for easy transport. But here's the thing that truly sets them apart, the thing that just blows my mind: their obsession with sanitation. We're talking about a complex city-wide drainage system. Every single house had drains that connected to bigger, covered drains under the main streets. They even had manholes for cleaning. This shows a deep understanding of public health that wouldn't really be seen again for thousands of years. Of course, cities are more than just bricks and drains. They're about people. So who were these residents living in these amazing places? What did they wear? What was their society like? Let's zoom in and get to know the people themselves. From everything we found, it looks like Harappan society was super organized. You probably had a ruling class at the top, then a bustling group of merchants and traders running the economy, followed by all the skilled artisans making incredible things, and of course the farmers and laborers, who were the engine of the whole civilization. And you know what? They were pretty stylish. People generally wore two-piece outfits made from cotton and wool. For men, it was a lower garment, a bit like a dhoti, and for women, a skirt. And both would often wear a shawl over their upper body. Pretty practical, but also elegant. And it's clear they paid a lot of attention to their personal appearance. Men styled their beards and hair, sometimes tying it up in a knot. We found evidence that women used combs, decorative hairpins, and even cosmetics. This was definitely a well-groomed and fashion-conscious society. And everybody loved their accessories. Jewelry wasn't just for the ladies. Both men and women wore things like necklaces, rings, and bangles, and your jewelry was a bit of a status symbol. If you were rich, you'd be rocking gold, silver, and ivory. If you were a regular person, you'd have beautiful ornaments made of shell, bone, and copper. So what did they do for fun? All the evidence points to them preferring indoor activities. They loved dancing and singing, and they were big fans of board games. Archaeologists have found dice and game boards, including one that looks a whole lot like an early version of chess. And the kids had plenty of toys too, like little wheeled carts and clay animals. Okay, so all of this, the amazing cities, the organized society, it had to be powered by a strong economy. So now, let's take a look at the jobs, the crafts, and the huge trade networks that made the Indus Valley a real commercial powerhouse. Agriculture was the main gig. They grew essentials like wheat and barley, but their big claim to fame is that they were the very first people in the world to cultivate cotton. They also domesticated all sorts of animals and were incredible craftspeople, making beautiful pottery and working with bronze to create tools, weapons, and art. Now, let's talk about one of the most fascinating things they left behind. These tiny, intricate objects called seals. More than 2,000 of them have been unearthed, carved from things like soapstone and clay. They may be small, but they hold some huge secrets. So the question is, what can these amazing little carvings actually tell us about the people who made them? Well, a lot, as it turns out. They were probably used by merchants to stamp their goods, kind of like a company logo or a seal of approval. The fact that we found these seals all the way over in Mesopotamia proves they had major international trade routes. They also show off incredible artistic talent, with carvings of animals both real and mythical. But the biggest secret of all is the script engraved on them. It's a language we still haven't managed to crack. A civilization that thrived for 1,000 years, and then it just disappeared. The final chapter of the Indus Valley is by far its most mysterious. So let's look at the theories behind its collapse and the incredible legacy it left behind. Before we try to figure out what happened to them, there's one more piece of their cultural puzzle: their religion. Now, we haven't found any big temples, but we have found countless clay figurines of a mother goddess. It seems they had a spiritual life centered on powerful deities. Some seals even show a figure in a yoga-like pose, sometimes called Pashupati, surrounded by animals, another clue to this rich inner world that we've mostly lost. So, what happened? How did it all just end? Well, scholars have a few leading theories. Maybe it was a massive natural disaster, like an earthquake or a huge flood. Maybe they were invaded by outsiders. Or it could be that the very river that gave them life, the Indus, changed its course, slowly turning their fertile homeland into a desert. The truth is, we just don't know for sure. But even though their cities now lie in ruins, their story is not one of failure. Not at all. Rediscovering this incredible culture should fill us with a real sense of pride. These people were pioneers of urban planning, of trade, of engineering. They left behind a truly glorious past. And you know, that legacy is still so relevant today. The Harappans understood, thousands of years ago, how critical clean water and sanitation are for a healthy city. And that leaves us with one last thing to think about. In a world where so many of our modern cities struggle with pollution and public health, what lessons can we still learn from the ancient wisdom of the Indus Valley?